Now, ITV drama The Hack focuses on the infamous phone hacking scandal that brought about the demise of the News of the World after it transpired that the corporation tapped into the phones of celebrities, politicians and members of the public. It wasn't the only publication to do it, of course. The drama continued last night and focused on Detective Chief Superintendent Dave Cook, who found himself under surveillance whilst investigating a 15-year-old unsolved murder. Take a look.
Whoa. There was a gun. There was a gun. There was a gun.
Where?
Pointed straight at me at the window. At the window.
Hey, you. Come here. It was a camera. Well, what you saw was a telephoto lens.
What?
I'm sorry, darling. It was a camera.
Why? Why was there a camera pointing at our house?
I was making it stop.
Making what stop?
I was trying to, I was getting it sorted.
What?
Southern Investigations. They've been watching the house, Jackie. They've had a newspaper contact of theirs watching the house.
Yeah, and it was happening to thousands of victims. I mean, to celebrities, to police
the
officers,
royals.
as they say. Millie Dowler, of course, was one of the most notable cases, the young girl who was abducted and murdered. It's funny, I watched the first episode. I haven't seen the second one, and I was thinking to myself, I wonder if for the audience now, they will fully grasp the impact that had. I mean, I remember that like it was yesterday because, you know, obviously doing the job that I do. But as time goes on and you've got AI-generated footage and you've got misinformation, disinformation, I wonder if we forget just how sort of punishing that was for people, and all three of you as it happens. You know, we don't have to go into details of the particular hacking that you each had, but what impact did it have on your life, Denise?
It had a big impact on my life and my career. And I'm not saying that I lived a completely virtuous life and they made everything up. They didn't, but a lot of it was nobody's business. But I do think that there is a section of the public who think that, well, if you invite OK Magazine into your home, you're letting people into your personal life, and therefore it's your fault if you get hacked. And I can understand that to a degree. So I've never felt that people shouldn't write about me. And I've always said that if I was in a nightclub and I was doing something out of order and there happened to be a paparazzi photographer there, you know, you got me, Gov. But I'm talking about, in my case, that the reason I didn't have to prove it is because the guy who hacked me was a poacher turned gamekeeper, and he got an 18-month suspended sentence. So everything was laid out to me as to what happened. And it had gone on for a time. And it wasn't just hacking the phone. It was putting listening devices into my hotel room on 2 occasions.
Wow.
And this is why I fly the flag for the Prince Harry of the world, because I think if they were doing it to sort of a jobbing actress, right? What were they doing to people in the sort of higher echelons of life? And the thing for me is, although this was an element of it that didn't go in the papers, when I was being hacked, I then discovered and was told by Putney Police Station that they had been listening into my calls when my son, Louis, who's 24 now, Louis had a condition called Hirschsprung disease, and we nearly lost him on 2 occasions. He was so poorly at Alderhay. And while I was on the phone to my then husband and to my parents and to my friends in an emotional state because I thought my son might die, they're listening into all those conversations that I'm having. And it's disgusting. And what really gets me is that, unfortunately, the people who made the calls, the people up there, the editors of these newspapers who were actually saying, do this, do this, do this, put a bug in her bedroom, do this, some of them haven't even been to court. And that's what I got asked to take part in a documentary recently. And I said, no, not unless you're going to go after the people who we all know, but they're all living life large. They were the editors of newspapers and they knew exactly what was doing. And what happens is because we had no idea it was going on, if you think that you've told your mum, which was the case of a very well-known actress, your mum is the only person that you have told this information to, and that ends up in the paper, who are you going to blame? You're going to blame your mum. And when you then find out you were hacked and you say, Mum, I'm so sorry, how's she ever going to get over the fact that you thought that your own mother had. And you know, it's...
Well, I mean, Mylene, I think you said, didn't you, that it ruined, you know, relationships. You'd had friendships you'd had for years.
I lost my friend from college, and I never got her back.
Because you...
Well, it's exactly what Denise said. It's a case of, imagine your deepest secrets or your illness or something that you don't want anybody to know, and you tell that one person that you trust, because they'll tell you what you need to hear back, or they'll just look after you, and you trust that person. Just hold that in your thought, and then you feel betrayed because they told somebody else, or it's public knowledge. And that level of betrayal, I even though later down the line said, I know it wasn't you, we just couldn't get our footing back.
You never get it back.
You know, 20 years had passed by that point.
Yeah. I think that's the trouble, isn't it, Mylene? I think if you're in the public eye, I think people think you're fair game, and they think that you're not entitled to a level of privacy. And that assumption that because you're in the public eye, you always want to be the centre of attention, you always enjoy seeing yourself on the cover of a newspaper.
People phoning the papers, don't they?
Yeah, they think you know, I remember actresses calling me saying, "Oh, I'm going to be in London this weekend, Kelly. Do you know any paps that I can call that can maybe, you know, come and take some pictures of me coming out of a restaurant because I see you doing it every week." I'm like, I'm not calling paparazzi, telling them where I am, but the assumption that I was instigating that and I was somehow doing that was just like...
But that went on for years and years.
This went on from 1998 until 2015. And when I went back through the log of how many articles had been written about me, personally, like, all of it, it all just made
They sit you down with a whole spreadsheet of your life over years.
It's unbelievable, the amount of intrusion.
So what effect did that have on you?
Well, it affects your whole life. It affects relationships. It affects, you know, you might go on a date a couple of times with someone and it's in the paper, and so you're looking at them like, well, you can't be trusted, so I'm not going to see you again. And then your mum's calling you. Are you engaged? Are you, you know, are you pregnant? Are you? And
there was stuff that came out in the papers that my parents did not need to see, that my 12-year-old didn't need to see. So it's not saying, I know you can say, well, you shouldn't have done that, but when one of the papers sets, after 9/11, sets a journalist onto you to befriend you over a period of months, and you think that's your friend, and she's recording every phone call until she gets the one phone call where you mention something that you've done wrong, and that becomes a headline and your whole career derails, and you've got to tell your 12-year-old.
Well, you were cynically entrapped.
I was
for a
entrapped,
period of time.
yeah. And there's all the proof of that, so yeah. Awful. It's awful.
Yeah. It's really hard to talk about because obviously, you know, we've all dealt with our different cases and situations, but it is very in-depth and it goes back decades and it's absolutely shocking.